And heading into this race, Feenstra was seen by many as the front runner for this nomination.
Yeah, he certainly was. Let's get straight out to Local 5's Dana Searles. She is live in the Quad Cities this morning after co-anchoring our coverage last night, our streaming coverage right here on We Are Iowa Plus. A lot of people tuned in last night. They're waking up this morning, maybe getting caught up on these results. I think that what happened in the governor's race, though, Dana, may have been the most surprising result for a lot of us.
Yeah, I think this entire primary election season, all eyes were on Randy Feenstra to get that Republican GOP nomination for the governor's race. So I think waking up to the news of seeing Zach Lahn taking home that win is probably surprising to a lot of people if you were looking at the campaign as a whole. But if we really zoom in on the campaigns in the final few weeks and really the final few days and kind of break it all down a little bit, it almost doesn't essentially come as a surprise. We really saw the momentum start to shift in the race of it becoming a neck-and-neck race between Lahn and Feenstra in those final few weeks. We saw attack ads for both candidates start to be aired, and our political analyst last night, Kelly Winfrey, was saying, when you see those attack ads come out, that's when you kind of know that one or the other campaign is feeling the pressure. They're feeling like this race is getting tighter, which we ultimately saw a very close race, so the pulse there was correct. And then in the final few days, we saw some key endorsements come in. Of course, we saw Randy Feenstra be endorsed by President Trump, but in that same day, we saw Zach Lahn be endorsed by Turning Point USA. So that was a pretty interesting development in the days leading up to the primary election. So just kind of looking at it as a whole, it was a neck-and-neck race regardless, but that's not what we expected really going into it, at least before that final week of the campaign season. But really the whole night, we saw Zach Lahn really take over central Iowa, especially Polk County, and that was a key county for him to win because that is kind of what really put him over the edge in terms of having that consistent lead over Randy Feenstra. We were still waiting for the results of Scott County to come in later in the night. That's the one that a lot of people were waiting on. But I think our political analyst was saying it's positive that we did not see one candidate not reach that 35% threshold, because there were conversations about this race potentially going to a convention. But our political analyst Kelly Winfrey was saying that would really open up the door for a whole lot of other things to happen. So ultimately, we did see Randy Feenstra concede the race when he saw these final results come in, throw his support behind Zach Lahn to ultimately defeat Democrat Rob Sand in November. So we'll be tracking this until then, but pretty crazy night. Not exactly what we expected going into it, but also nothing that was out of the ordinary. Really anything could have happened in this GOP governor's race.
And it will certainly be interesting as we get focused on the general election to see how both of the candidates tailor the way that they campaign as they try to court all voters out there. Something I am interested in knowing, do we know anything about what's next for Randy Feenstra? He's been in the political eye for so many years around here.
Yeah, in Feenstra's conceding speech, he talked about saying just, God is guiding his path, and he credited God for, what comes next. He is someone, like you mentioned, who has been in politics for a while. He was a state senator for 12 years. He's been in the House of Representatives for about 6 years now. And of course, he has the endorsement from President Trump, so clearly has President Trump's support. So as for what's next, he did not make it clear on what we're going to see him be doing. However, since he does have so much support and so much political experience, I do feel like we could see him in some way, shape, or form continue in Iowa politics. In what form, we don't quite know exactly what yet. I don't think Feenstra knows quite yet either. This was clearly unexpected for him to lose this primary election race. So we'll have to keep an eye on what we hear from him in the near future. But, I think now the race really just turns to Lahn versus Rob Sand, which will be a very interesting race to see how it unfolds.
I know you'll keep a close eye on it, Dana, and thanks for joining us from the Quad Cities.